you born?
In Indio, California.
And tell me about your home life growing up.
Well, my hometown?
Your home, like your home life inside your house. What was your home life like?
We had a pretty mellow life. We had good parents, strict parents. I had 5 brothers, 2 sisters, and just regular, normal family, nothing exciting. My brother's always picking on me. I was the youngest, and my older brothers started boxing, and I kind of followed them just to leave the house and be in the gym. And once you know it, I was in it. And once it's kind of sport, once you're hooked to it, going out of it, it's hard to get out of it.
Yeah. And what kind of neighborhood were you guys in?
We were not in a bad neighborhood, but it was in a good neighborhood. I think every neighborhood has its goods and bads. It all depends on you, where you want to hang out and what side you want to be on. And fortunately we kept to ourselves and we always stayed away from the bad streets.
And so you were a good kid, always out of trouble and good grades and stuff?
I had average grades. In school, I'm not going to say I was the best student or straight A student, but I was average student, graduated from high school. I always did what I needed to do. Like a normal kid, I got in trouble and, but nothing major,
Yeah.
Just,
and how old were you when you first went to a gym?
I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
I was 8 years old. I fought my first fight when I was 9 years old.
And were you good at it right away?
I guess so. Everybody said I was a natural.
Yeah. And was there a sibling rivalry? Did you spar your brothers?
Yeah. Well, we always spar my brothers. When I started growing up and stuff, we started always sparring them, and those were some good fights.
Yeah.
Between brothers, everybody always enjoyed watching us because whatever happened at home, we would bring it to the gym and let it out there. That was kind of fun.
Yeah. How old were you when you first got the best of Tonio in the gym?
Must have been, I was 17. I started maturing a little more. I always try to outbox him because Antonio was a bull.
Yeah.
Long, come forward guy. So, once I was able to, get my skills down, I always try to outbox him and make him look slow.
And how did it feel the first time you got the best of him?
Well, it felt good. It felt good, and then he started working harder, trying to get me back. So that's what made the sparring sessions always a war.
And what was your amateur record?
I don't quite remember, honestly. I know I had about 100 fights or more.
Wow.
I think I had a pretty good amateur career. Won a lot of nationals, and I was in Colorado Springs for the USA's, and won Golden Gloves, Silver Gloves. Pretty much every tournament they had out there, I would win, and I did okay. But then, I had a lot of opportunities to continue going further in my career as an amateur. But then that's at that time my girlfriend got pregnant. Well, I got her pregnant. I was a senior in high school. So I pretty much dropped all my amateur plans, and I decided to go pro, make a living.
Yeah. And what's the tournament that makes you most proud that you won?
I think I gotta say when I made the Colorado Springs and I was there with the USA team for the nationals, and it was a great experience,
So you never tried out for the Olympic team?
No, I had the opportunity to.
Yeah.
I pretty much got my ticket to go. But then I just packed up, came home. I left Colorado and came home after I had to. At that time, I felt like I had to make the right decision and come and face the problem I had on hand.
Yeah. How did you feel when you turned pro? Were you ready, or do you wish that you stayed amateur a little longer and made the Olympics now in retrospect?
can't really complain. You know, because at that time, I was really, really young. Everybody always called me the kid.
Mm-hmm.
I looked like a 10-year-old boy, and I was 18 fighting 35-year-old men. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I was really scared. Honestly, I felt like a baby in there. But you know, once I started hitting these guys, and everybody was always going down, I was knocking everybody out first round in every fight, and I was like, wow, you know, maybe I'll be okay here.
Yeah. And so you turned pro at 18?
Yeah, yes, at 18.
And do you remember who you fought in your first fight and where it was and what the result was?
I fought close to my hometown in Cathedral City. I don't remember the name of the guy, but I got a first or second round knockout.
Mm-hmm. And how'd you feel after that first pro win?
I felt really good. Yeah, I felt really good. But
and then,
you know, after that win, I continued just working harder and trying to get ready for the next fight.
mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this. How does it feel being a young badass and kicking someone's ass at the Playboy Mansion with all the bunnies watching? How's that feel?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really get to enjoy it. You know, now that I sit back and I realize, I was like, wow, I was there. It happened. I didn't even realize it. I didn't really remember, you know. I remember driving in. It drove me into the Playboy Mansion, and I was on a zone, you know.
Yeah.
I was focused for my fight, and I really just kept my eyes and to myself and my focus to myself. So fight was over, and then I was excited about the win. I didn't care about the bunnies. You know, yeah, but we partied a little there. I was able to experience the grotto and a few things, you know, but it's pretty exciting. You know, I had an opportunity to fight there twice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And you already said how you had a girlfriend who you got pregnant, so you couldn't ask Hef for a room and 2 bunnies, right?
Yeah, of course. So I had security with me. Imagine that. You know, yeah, but you know what? Thank God it worked out. You know, we've been married for 14 years. We got 4 kids. My kids are big already, and you know, we established our family, and thank God everything's still been good. You know.
Yeah, that's great, man. And how about the fight itself with Luis Alfonso Lizarraga at the Mansion? What was fighting him like?
The fight at the Mansion.
Yeah.
It could have been very distracting. You know, you got the crowd. You know, most of them are nude, and and they're just walking around at their own free will, however they want. And, you know, it's really easy to be distracted. But like I said, good thing I kept my cool and stayed focused, and it paid off.
How about the fight with Gerardo Mijares? What do you remember about him?
Mijares, I fought him in Vegas, right?
I believe you did. Let me take a look.
Yeah, I think I was at the Crown Plaza. I think it was. Yeah, you know what? I've had a lot of great fights, and I've enjoyed every one of them, even my defeats. You know, I think every fight's a learning experience. And every fight that we're able to walk out of the ring and get back home, it was a good day.
Yeah. And so nothing particularly tough about Mijares?
No, not really.
And what about Eduardo Perez? Anything?
Eduardo Perez, yes, also I had no problem with him. I think I fought him too at the Crown Plaza. Yeah, those were all supposed to be good fights for me, and they turned out to be, easy knockouts, I guess, and that's what got me the opportunity that I got.
And you were in a zone at that time. Unstoppable. Yeah. And what about Juan Angel Macias? Anything about him? Or you just blew through him too?
Yes, Juan Angel Macias too, yes. I remember fighting a kid who was supposed to be a nobody. To this day, I tell everybody that's been my hardest fight. I think it was Miguel Angel Perez. No, was it? No, yes, the other thing it was.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about a lot of your fights you fought so many guys. I was looking at your record, and really you didn't have many soft touches after you started stepping up your competition, you know?
Yes, I beat, I fought Hucho Sencion in his hometown in New York. He was an undefeated Olympian kid. I was undefeated. He had a lot of knockouts. I did too. And that was a great fight. That was an HBO. I was proud of that fight, you know?
Now,
be able to go against all odds and beat him by a knockout.
How'd you feel going into that fight for your first title shot? Were you nervous going into that fight?
No, I wasn't nervous. Honestly, I was pumped up. I was very excited. You know, I wanted to walk in his hostile territory and stuff like that. I wanted to go into his hometown, and I experienced being booed, people throwing cups of beer at me, and so forth and so forth. And I get to be able to get a knockout and be escorted to the back of the auditorium, you know, for my safety. That was, you know, it was good. And then after that, you know, I beat Dario Salas. He was undefeated fighter, like 21-0, 20 KOs. He was a strong guy. And, you know, again, I beat a lot of good fighters. You know, fortunately, times change. I think now these days, those kind of fights would have been on pay-per-view and a big payday.
Yeah. And I think you might have had him too early, you know? You should have hyped up the fights a little bit more.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I destroyed those guys' career. I ended their careers after that, and you know, it shouldn't have been like that. You know, we both should have went our separate routes and build each other up. And then, but what can we say? We want to do our job, promoting places there.
And you went down in round 2, right? In the Salas fight. What do you remember about What do you remember about going down there?
I don't really. Everything happened so quick. I wasn't hurt, but I was like shocked. I was like, "Wow, did I really go down?" That was the first time I ever went down.
Yeah. I forgot to ask you, how'd you feel after you when you fought Sencion? How'd it feel to have your first title as a pro? After that?
Oh, I felt like I had made it already in the world. I felt excited just to have a belt. It wasn't an NBA belt. You know, it wasn't a major world title or anything, but I had a belt. You know, at that time it was like a big thing. You have a belt. Now these days it's really nothing. You know, if it's not a world title, it really don't mean much because even amateur kids now as a trophy they get belts.
I know, that's true. So, but the belts still look pretty, and it's good to be someone's champion, you know. You know.
There it is. Yeah, there you go.
So, then after the Salas fight, you fought Angel Manfredi, and you had 2 points deducted. What did you think at the time you were getting those points deducted? What do you think of?
I was very disappointed. You know, just to be, I felt like I wasn't protected. I won that fight. I felt I won that fight unanimous. And I heard Letterman, HBO, and Letterman, they had me, and the scorecards clearly ahead. No problem. And then they gave it to him, and that was a shock. You know, I've always been an honest fighter. You know, when you're winning, you know, you feel you're winning. You're losing, you know you're losing. And I had no problem with that fight. And to have lost, I was like, wow, you know, that's not right.
So you weren't surprised with anything Angel Manfredi had in the ring that night?
No.
Found him pretty easy?
Well, at that time, yes, I just pretty much played it safe and I outboxed him. And I won by points. That was the plan. He was a solid veteran fighter. I wasn't going to get in there and bang with him. But I did, and everything, you know, I fought his fight. I fought my fight, and everything went good.
How did it feel to lose your perfect record to a decision that you didn't like? Feel robbed?
I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
I was really disappointed how I lost. It's just how I lost. I didn't feel like I got beat. I felt like I got robbed.
Yeah.
And, you know, I cried in the locker room, and I was very sad. And, you know, but after that turned into a little more anger and more, it just, you know, it just drove me to work even harder and try to get back and prove a point, which I did, so.
Yeah. And so it just made you better.
Yes. Yeah, of course. My mentality, my approach was always different every time.
And how'd you feel going in the ring in your next fight with Verdell Smith? Were you confident going in this stuff?
Well, yeah, that was just like a stay busy fight. Like I had a lot of experience and a lot of losses, so I wasn't really worried much. I was just trying to be cautious, like, wow, hope this guy don't get sneaky and catch me with a surprise, you know?
Yeah. And what happened in the next fight with Juan Valenzuela? What do you remember happening there? Got caught cold or something?
With Juan Valenzuela, what happened that night, I clearly remember he was to us at that point, he was considered no threat from nobody. No knockouts or hardly nothing. No danger. I was supposed to be the main event on ESPN. And I remember they told me, warm up, Diaz, you're up in 5 minutes. I broke a sweat, I got pumped up, and we were ready. And then they came and said, okay, no, never mind. the TV is live and it's being delayed by this National Hockey Church. I don't know what it was. He goes, you got to wait till it finishes. So everybody in the dressing room, they fought the non-TV fights, and the locker room was lonely. I was there like to 11:30, falling asleep. And then they come in, they're like, okay, Diaz, let's go, you're up. I was like, oh, man, I couldn't get going no more. I was lazy, I was off. And I remember clearly saying, you know what, it's okay, this guy, you know, I'll warm up when I get in there. I'll let him hit me for a couple of shots, and he'll wake me up. And that was it. That was a couple of shots, was a good night.
So you don't remember anything after that? It just got you cold.
It's coming cold. It's one of those worst nightmares that could happen to any fighter.
Yeah.
That right punch at the right time.
That's right. How'd that feel not losing 2 out of 3? Were you still hungry, or did it kind of make you...
You know, I've always been hungry. Of course. I got mad again, and I was like, no, this is not me. And here I go. I came back with the winning streak and then won the world title.
That's right. What do you remember about the James Creighton fight?
James Creighton was a sneaky fight because I knew him. I had sparred him before. He's a very crafty guy, and I go, when I remember James Creighton at the time, if he brings it, he's a great fighter. But you just never know when he was going to show up. Some days he didn't care. It would have been an easy fight. Some days he would bring it, and it was a tough fight. So I was like, man, I wonder what James Creighton I'm going to get tonight. So I got really ready for him.
Yeah. And how do you fight you that night? He fought pretty good?
He started off very pumped up and thinking he could win, but I fought him hard, and I fought him back, and he was like, okay, it's not going as planned, so what the heck, he just kind of gave up.
Yeah. What about the next fight with St. Kitts?
St. Kitts?
Yeah.
He was just a flashy little fighter. He was like a Hector Camacho. We fought at the Arrowhead Pond, and I was excited to be at the Arrowhead Pond, a big arena.
Yeah.
And again, I had to wipe him out. He was trying to get flashy, and I go, I better not let him go any further because he's going to make me look fat.
Yeah. That was actually my next question. How did it feel to be fighting at the Arrowhead? All those legendary fighters fought there.
Oh, it was very exciting. It was just a big arena.
Yeah.
And I go, man, you know, I remember getting up in the ring and looking around and, wow, it's big here.
Was the audience full too? Full
yeah, a good crowd, and a lot of hometown people went and to see my fight, and I had a lot of support.
That's great, man. And then you got a shot at a major title, kind of major title, the WBC Latino Lightweight Championship. What was that fight with? Unless there was a pay-per-view.
That was an exciting fight for me because I fought in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay. I was actually on pay-per-view. I was actually the main event on pay-per-view against Ernesto Cepeda, which at that point he was a very good prospect. He was a knockout artist. He had a lot of knockouts. I go, okay, let me see what I can do with the Mexican veteran.
How did it feel to be the champion of the Latinos?
Well, it was another world champion. It was another title, and I was excited, you know. Yeah. Like I said, I was excited to get belts and titles.
And how about your next fight with Miguel Huerta? Anything
That's
special?
The guy I was going to tell you. Miguel Huerta. That was the toughest fight I've ever had. That guy will hit. And I remember his nickname was Anesthesiast. And I remember clearly thinking to the fight, I was like, man, this guy really is Anesthesiast. I mean, I got numb every time he would hit me.
Wow, man. So then you had your IBF elimination fight with Courtney Burton. Anything special about Courtney Burton?
Yeah, you know what? That was a very, very special fight for me because Courtney Burton was supposed to wipe me out. And I remember in the weigh-in, as promoters and the team looking at me, I was a very slangy little skinny kid. And this guy was huge. I don't know how he made the weight. He was a huge, big guy. Very intimidating, but when the fight came, you know, I noticed he was respecting my power. I was like, wait a minute, I could actually hit. You know, this guy's actually going back when I hit.
Yeah. Then you got your shot at the first major championship against Javier Jauregui.
Yes, and they didn't expect for me didn't have plans for me to get that title shot. They offered me some good money to step aside because Howdy was supposed to fight. I guess maybe the thing was Luis Castillo or somebody, and they Golden Boy. Then they're like, no, we'll just step aside and we'll give you a shot the next time. I go, no, this is my shot. I want it. They go, okay, so they kind of did everything on their own way, everything against me. But thank God everything went good, and I was able to accomplish my dream.
Mm-hmm. Were you nervous going into that fight, or just ready?
Excuse me?
Were you nervous going into that first title shot, or?
Yes, I was very nervous. Not a Howdy. I was nervous at just that whole event itself.
Yeah.
Just I was like, the opportunity is here. It's finally here. My first world title shot. Wow,
Yeah.
I was just like stage fright.
Yeah. And what was the fight itself like?
I started off very, very disciplined in there with my game plan and outboxing him. And I was always ready for him to pull the switch and say, okay, I always had a little reserve holding back for see what I don't know. I thought he was gonna step it up. And once it was halfway the fight, I go, well, wait a minute, this is all he has. It's really no big deal. So that's when I started, getting excited. And I remember I started making plans with my title and stuff. I was already counting on it. And I was like, no, wait a minute. I was just anxious for the fight to be over and I would collect my title. That was the hardest part, keeping my cool.
And what do you think that one judge was watching scored it a draw? Did you even realize it?
Well, he was the champion. Of course, he always has that extra edge. But it doesn't matter. I knew I had won clearly.
And how did it feel to hear and knew? What's that feel like?
Oh, wow. That's every fighter's dream.
Yeah.
To be able, any fighter can be a boxer, and anybody could be a boxer, but to be a world champion, I could be 80 years old. My kids will still remember that. My dad was a world boxing champion, It's like when you win the gold medal in the Olympics, same thing. Yeah. Nobody can ever take that away from you.
Yeah, it's an amazing moment. And did you sleep all night that night? Or did you just stay
No.
up? Yeah.
We stayed up all night celebrating.
Then you fought one of the great fighters of the day, in Jose Luis Castillo. Tell me about that fight. What was that fight like?
I enjoyed that fight. That was a dream fight for me, being in a big fight for the WBC world title and fighting a legendary fighter. And he beat me fair and square, He experienced, he manhandled me, and he beat me with sheer experience. That's it. And that's what I can say. I got ready. I was ready, and I was strong. I was just a young, green fighter, and he was a veteran, solid fighter. That was the difference.
Yeah. And he gave Floyd Mayweather his toughest fight, so... What was he so good at? Was he just hard puncher and stuff?
No, actually, no. He never knocked me out. He never had me in the ropes in trouble. Never. Not even one punch that would have rocked me. So I can honestly say it was in his power. If you see how it ended, I just took a knee. I couldn't see no more. My one eye was shut completely. My other eye was had a big gash over my eyebrow with the blood coming in my eye. I was just frustrated, and I just took a knee. I didn't get dropped or knocked out. And then, but it was frustrating. Just the fact that I felt that he wasn't hurting me, but just the way his experience. He's a very experienced fighter. He knows how to manhandle you, how to take away your power shots, how to shove himself into you. He's a strong bodied guy. He holds you strong, he pushes you strong, he manhandles you. But his punching power, at least I didn't have trouble with that.
And how did it feel feeling a guy that much, like, so strong? Did you feel like quitting then at any point, or were you still?
No, not at all. Just later on, as my vision started, I couldn't see, and I started getting picked apart little by little, I go, you know what, I wasn't used to it. Not that I was scared of it or anything, but I was like, no, you know what, it's not the right thing to do. At that time, I wish, you know, my corner I had, they should have made the call, you know.
Yeah.
I hope they would have stopped it and not leave it up to me to find a chance to take a knee.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see the fight, I think in the 8th or 10th round, they were like, how do you feel? I go, I can't see. And I remember that the cameras were pointing at me, and I go, the world's watching, you know, I'm not going to say I'm done, or I was like, come on, I hope they get the hit. And they go, so how do you feel? I go, I can't see. Okay, let's go get him. Like, oh, come on. You know, I was like, get the hint. But so eventually I made the decision, you know. As soon as I saw a little shot, a little punch, and I just took a knee. I played like I was hurt.
Did you say something to your corner after that?
No, I didn't tell him anything. You know, like I said, you know, I was green in there. I was an experienced fighter, and also they were too as well. You know, there with me, I had an experienced corner.
Yeah, and like I said before, you never take a soft touch. You came back against Marco Perez, and this time you made quick work of him. But so you still felt hungry after that, right? Yes,
of course. I've always, you know, if I feel I'm so capable of performing, I always give it a shot, and it has showed that I was right.
Then you fought for the IBF interim title with Ricky Quiles. What was that fight like?
That was a very exciting fight for me because this guy was a very cocky guy, opened his mouth a lot. But to be able to just destroy him like that, it was a good feeling.
Then your next fight against Jesus Chavez for the real IBF title. What's Jesus Chavez like? Just kind of getting...
Oh, yeah, that was another exciting fight for me because that was a chance for me to get my world title again, you know. And I go, this is my shot, you know. I'm able to be a two-time world champion, and I got ready for that fight to fight hard because this guy was a guy that I always admired his fights, and he always gave wars. I go, this guy has no quit in him. So I got ready for him, and then for the fight to just turn out so easy, I was like, wow, that's it. After all this time, I lost sleep, and it really wasn't nothing.
Yeah. And what was it like winning your second championship? Was it better than the first time?
No. The second time was a little more like, okay, just another one. The first one is just special, you know?
Yeah. Then you had the unification fight with undefeated Juan Diaz. Tell me about that night and that fight.
That was the most frustrating night in my life because that was a fight in which I always asked for. I always looked for that fight. I wanted to fight that fight. I knew I could beat him. And even until now, I could beat him easy. I could tell you, and I always said it. You know, unfortunately, you know, I wasn't able to come through and prove it. You know, by the time I got that opportunity, I had about a year and something layoff. And I got big. I gained a lot of weight. And that fight, I just trained for the weight. And I was so weak, I couldn't even perform. I couldn't even make a fist. And I was just a punching bag in there. He didn't drop me. He never hurt me. He was just slapping his way through. And it was frustrating for me being in front of him and thinking, man, this is it. Come on, you know, throw back, do something. I just couldn't. I was so weak. I lost about 38 pounds for that fight.
Wow. Why were you still at lightweight?
Because the opportunity, I wasn't going to be a lightweight, but when they called Juan Diaz unification, I was like, man, here it is. You know, the fight, my fight of my dreams, unification against this guy that I didn't like. I was like, so I go, okay, you've been asking for it, there it is. What are they going to say? Never mind, I'm going to move up and wait. No, I took it. And, you know, it was frustrating that, you know, I wish you would have knocked me out. At least I had an excuse, and, you know, I got beat, but, you know, my corner, they knew what I was going through. They couldn't perform, and they just stopped the fight.
And then you did what anyone needing to feel better would do. You went back to the Playboy Mansion. Which time had the better-looking bunnies?
Yeah, that took away the pain a little bit.
Tell me about that David Torres fight.
David Torres was those good fights that I like. Everybody criticized me. You come from a loss from Juan Diaz, and here you go take a dangerous, undefeated fighter who has a lot of knockouts. You know, why don't you take a tune-up fight and regroup and get a winning streak? Or no, I don't like to fool my fans or the crowd. If I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna come back strong and beat somebody. Give me an undefeated fighter. That way I could prove myself that day with Juan Diaz, that wasn't me. And yeah, and sure enough, they saw a different Julio.
Yeah, I noticed you kick ass at the Playboy Mansion. I think you should take every guy who beats you and just kick their ass at the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah, the bunnies that give me a good vibe.
Yeah, man. And then you fought Fernando Trejo. Anything about him special? Kind of beat him easy?
No, just because he was a dirty fighter. He gave me a lot of headbutts. He just no trouble with the fight. He just cut both of my eyebrows for nothing.
Then you fought Rolando Reyes. He had a pretty good record. Anything? What happened in the fight?
That was a frustrating fight for me, which I was mad at because I was in a fight Casamayor, and I trained for a whole 6 weeks training camp for a southpaw, and we got it down to a plan how to move to avoid the southpaw, his power punch, and I got ready for Casamayor 100%. And then a week before he canceled, so they told me, you know what, there's no fight. Well, now and if we got Rolando Reyes, he could be the replacement. I was like, man, okay, I got ready for a southpaw. Now this guy's right-handed. Well, you know what? I did all this hard work. I mean, I'm gonna fight. And sure enough, Rolando Reyes, he didn't come to fight. People were booing, and that's why he retired. He beat me, and he hasn't fought ever since. They counted him out because he didn't beat me. He just got a one-punch lucky shot. You know, and you know, I couldn't avoid that punch. I trained 6 weeks to move to the left. And in the corner, they were telling me, don't move to the left, you know? But I trained 6 weeks for Casamayor. Move to the left, move to the left. So I was never, ever able to avoid that punch. So that was frustrating, you know? I was like, man, here I go, you know, again.
Yeah, it's that muscle memory. You know, you're used to moving that way. Then you had your next fight, another undefeated guy against Victor Cayo. What happened in that fight?
That fight, I went to his hometown where he was from, with his promoters. They promoted the fight, Warriors, and you know, I felt I won that fight. I had no trouble with that guy, but he won. Yeah. You know, one of those things.
How's that feel how's it feel when you train so hard and then they take it away from you? How's that feel?
At that point, you know, I was mad, but like I said, at that point, you just become a veteran of the sport, and you know how it is, it's business, and I knew I was really going to have to knock him out or to beat this undefeated kid, the little prospect they had, you know?
Yeah. Then your next fight, you won a good fight against Herman and Goja. What about
it? And that was a strong fighter, and that was a great fight. I looked good, I performed well. Those are the kind of fights that, like I said, I came back from the losing streak. I go, I'm going to beat somebody in a good manner, in a good fashion. I want to show everybody I still got it. I'm still young and sharp. Reflexes are still there. And what better than Herman and Gujo? And everything went as planned. I won that fight with flying colors, and I look good. So that's what put me back in the mix.
Yeah. And you fought Pavel Miranda. Anything special?
Pavel Miranda? Yeah, no, nothing really. That was just a stay busy fight, and you know, I just wanted to get some rounds, and I didn't feel him dangerous or no problem with him. But I took my time to put him on. I wanted to get some rounds in.
And then Kendall Holt. What happened in that fight, man?
Kendall Holt, I felt I was doing good. I had no trouble with him. I didn't feel his power. But, you know, that's just the time that I was it was my time to move up in weight. I'm a big fighter. I was a lightweight for 12 years or something like that. I stood too much time as a lightweight. I outgrew myself, and I just lose too much weight, and that was a frustrating part about my career. It's always been a weight issue, and Kendall Holt just caught me when my body don't respond. I just trained for the weight.
Mm-hmm. Was that fight lightweight? That fight was lightweight too?
No, that was a 140.
Yeah.
See, and at 140, I was supposed to move a long time ago. Bobby Miranda, I fought him at 146.
Yeah.
And then I go and I came down to 140 for him. So, but that that was it. That was the last. That was the last of it. I said, you know what? I'm gonna come back. I'm coming back to 147. I'm gonna give it one last shot at my career at 147, where I could be healthy and I'm able to train for my opponent, not for the scale.
Yeah, it's nice, man. What are you weighing now?
Right now I'm at 154, 155. I've been walking around healthy. I was supposed to fight. They offered me Paul McCloskey to fight him in Belfast, Ireland, May 5th.
Wow.
That fight was negotiated already and stuff, but then again, they wanted to bring me down to 140. I go, nah, it's not going to happen anymore.
That's good.
It's not going to happen. 147, I'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. 147.
That's it. And
140, no more.
Yeah, I remember reading about that a couple of weeks ago. Who do you have planned in your sights for the next fight? Anybody in particular yet?
No, nobody in particular. We promoters got some plans right now. I'm just waiting a couple of weeks, and then we'll see what goes from there. Right now, I'm on standby, and I'm helping Timothy Bradley for his fight with Pacquiao, and I'm just staying in shape.
Yeah, you're sparring with him a lot?
Yes.
And how's he looking?
He fights hard. He wants it. He's a hungry boy, and this guy takes it serious. He ain't coming for a payday. He's coming to win.
Are you expecting him to win? You must be.
No, I mean, honestly, Pacquiao, we all know. I'm not the only one to say. I mean, it's hard to believe that Tim has a chance, because Pacquiao's a great fighter. But you got to see, he's going against a young lion who, Tim, you don't have the biggest power in the world, but he fights hard. So we got to give him a fighting chance, You can't count him out. He fights hard. He's a durable fighter. He trains like anybody I've ever seen in my life before. And we got to give him a chance. And he deserves to be there.
Yeah. Are you impersonating Pacquiao when you're sparring?
Yes.
And how's that feel? Does it feel good? You do it easy?
Yeah, I mean, I can't honestly say I have no problem doing it, because I always train southpaw and right-handed, and I'm always a good boxer in and out. I always use all angles, so doing Pacquiao is really, it's really nothing, out of this world. Just stay on your feet and keep on thinking. Be sneaky and explosive at times. Be explosive at times, and then always on your feet, sneaky. Every combination, end up in a different angle. Keep them sharp.
That's right. So how you feeling when you're sparring? You feel better than ever?
I'm healthy right now. I'm not dehydrating myself.